I want to welcome you to the March 19th Town Board meeting. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
John Baisley, First Ward.
Bill Carlos, Second Ward.
Joe Conti, Third Ward.
Stefan Krakauer, Fifth Ward.
Ann Shershen, Sixth Ward.
Todd Tancredi, Supervisor.
Alicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, Attorney for the town.
Okay, we have one public hearing on the agenda tonight, so we will get that taken care of first. So I'd like to open public hearing number 1, 26 North Grand Avenue, unsafe building.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone here to speak to this public hearing?
Hi.
Hi.
Just write your name down, Diane. Oh, sure. You don't know who you are. Okay. Just wondering what's the latest news on this eyesore that's bringing down the value of the homes in the neighborhood?
Wayne is here tonight. Wayne, can you come up and, Wayne's our building inspector, and he's been on top of this
Hi.
situation from the start, so I'll let Wayne give us a description, a brief on what's happening.
Good evening, Wayne C. Sean, Deputy Building Inspector for the town of Poughkeepsie. As you know, we don't do any of these things lightly. When they come to a certain point, we have to deal with it in one nature or another. So right at this point, I have had meetings with the property owner over the course of the last couple of weeks. He definitely told me that he would like to do something with it. He just isn't in a state to be able to deal with it right now. I was in consultation with another party who's very interested in purchasing the property. Matter of fact, he made a commitment today, at least on the phone with me, that he was going to purchase the property with the intention of razzing the building, backfilling, cleaning the yard, and returning it to a lawn. So that's pretty much where we stand on the update since you've received the packet of information that I presented before for this.
So Wayne, would it be your recommendation that we go ahead with this resolution tonight, at any rate, and put the, kind of process in motion?
I do believe we need to continue to follow through with this and set the time parameters ticking. Obviously, everybody's good intentions on it, or whatever they are, and if it's true that he can make this happen, then we have the ability to be able to give a time extension at the other side of this. So, but if we don't at least start the clock ticking, then there's going to be we're just going to be back here again dealing with this again.
I agree with you. Any questions from the board?
No, we'll go in the right direction.
If it goes to the point where we demolish it and we apply those charges to the county, there's really no way that the future homeowner or property owner could fight that. And you know what I'm saying? You just said he made an intention he was going to knock this down.
Current homeowner you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about the future. Didn't you say somebody was looking to buy this and was?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Has anything been signed?
Not to my knowledge, no. He just wanted some clarifications. We actually spoke today on 3 separate occasions that he's interested in it. He wanted to make sure about what he could do with it. I clearly described, the timeframes that are applicable to this. He understands fully. It is his intention to drop the building, clean the yard, and backfill the hole, because he just has no use for it as anything more than a lawn.
I see. Oh, okay. Because, unfortunately, we've seen a lot of these, miss, and this is probably the only one that can remember where there's actually somebody looking to buy the property, and what I was hoping that we didn't knock it down, and then him to wait on us to do that, because he's thinking he can save money on the process if he was thinking about doing it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, he prolongs it, and if this doesn't go through, I like the time limit.
Yeah, but then it
idea on
puts
that.
a lien on the property, so the new homeowner would be stuck paying for that. So either way, he's going to pay for the
I
demolition.
just want to make sure we don't lose out on that. We're contingent on on,
Well-
us waiving
But
that.
if he actually puts a contract on, then we could put an extension on the 60 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
what
But
we
if we don't see any actual paperwork, then we can push for the demolition.
And I
That
absolutely.
might be nice to add.
Pressure. Well, this
We add that it
this
gives
is
them-
there. We can always extend this, but like Wayne said, this'll kind of put some pressure on this individual,
The buyer.
anybody else who's interested to
Without
move on
pressure,
it.
people tend not to
Yeah.
Right.
stuff, so.
Oh, and I've got no problem passing. I just didn't want to find us knocking it down for his benefit.
Like Wayne said, we first of all, we don't move
Quickly,
all that
yeah.
quickly as a government, but we're very cautious. We take a lot of concern and care in these decisions. So I think Wayne's done a great job and he's been all over this. So
Yeah.
I would
Thank you.
agree 100%. Let's move
Thank
forward
you
with
so
this.
much for
Good,
that,
yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm happy that someone is interested in the property and will do something about it. That's great.
Yep.
Yes.
And also, if we do have to move ahead a demolition on ourselves, you're speaking with the current owner that he realizes he needs to get any property he wants out of the house
Yes,
before it's great. Okay, good.
he's
So-
been made, and that's been made very clear.
Because I saw in the pictures that there was still appliances and things in the building.
There is some personal property in there, so,
Yeah, but that's his responsibility to get it out before.
Correct.
Right.
All right. Is there anything?
That's it.
Anything else?
That was my concern.
All right. Make a motion to resume the rules. Those in favor?
Aye.
Jay?
Whereas by Resolution 35, Number 7 of 2014, adopted on March 5th, 2014, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie has determined that the 1.5-story building located 26 North Grand Avenue, Poughkeepsie, County Dutchess, State of New York, bearing grid number 6161-07-707937, owned by David G. Jago, is dangerous, unsafe, and dilapidated, and an imminent threat to the general public. And whereas the town board adopted findings regarding the building and directed the issuance of an order and notice requiring the demolition of the building in the setting of a public hearing regarding the order and notice. And whereas said order and notice of a public hearing has been served and posted, which order included the direction that the required work begin immediately and must be commenced no later than 30 days from service of the order and notice and be completed no later than 60 days thereafter. And gave further notice that on failure to timely comply, the town board is authorized to secure and demolish, remove the building, and assess the expense therefore against the premises as a special ad valorem levy under town law, Article 15, and to institute a proceeding to collect the expenses of such work. And whereas the town of Poughkeepsie has in the order and notice reserved its right to proceed more rapidly with the remediation of this site if it is required pursuant to Town Code, Chapter 71-12. Whereas that the legal notice of public hearing was posted on March 6, 2014, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on March 8, 2014. And whereas said public hearing has been held this day, now therefore, be it resolved that in the event the owner has not timely commenced or completed the demolition, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie authorizes and directs the building department to demolish and remove the building by town employees or by contractor making the lowest bid proposal to the town consistent with Town Code, Chapter 71-10, and to thereafter assess against the premises and levy and collect the expenses of same as provided in Article 15 of the town law for levy and collection of a special ad valorem levy. Be it further resolved that this work is an enforcement proceeding and is therefore a Type 2 action, which is exempt from environmental review under 6 NYCRR 617.5 C29. So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you, Wayne.
thank you.
All right, what I'll do is run through the agenda items, and then we'll take questions on agenda items. Item number 2 is to be tabled. That's our home occupations code amendment to be tabled until the first meeting in April. Just want to encourage the town board to continue to look at that proposed amendment and get any thoughts into Neil Wilson. 3 is a presentation by NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness. 4 is the designation of April as Parkinson's Disease Awareness Month, and 5 will be Business Electronics, Inc., a maintenance agreement, authorized supervisor sign. 6 is the authorized supervisor sign custom monitoring agreement, that's the police impound yard. 7 is to authorize the flea market and Rinaldi Flea Market on Route 44. 8 is to authorize the calling of a letter of credit, Grand Meadows. Oh, that's been withdrawn. Correct, Jim?
Yes.
8's been withdrawn, okay. 9, yeah, it does say, I just didn't realize it. 9, authorize Hudson Valley Senior Softball for the use of town ball fields. 10 is a notification for public hearing in Town LaGrange, and then we have a few special consents. Special consent number 1 is the authorization of a contract with Hess Energy, basically to fulfill the remaining couple months of the contract we signed for a year. We did 75% fixed, 25% variable. We've been getting beat up pretty good with the variable, so we're going to sign a contract for a couple months to finish out the term of the original contract, and this is at 100% fixed, which we think will protect the town. 2 is the authorize town clerk to attend annual town clerks conference, and 3 is to authorize conveyance to Dutchess County IDA for 130 Saw Point Turnpike. That's the building where Taylor Manufacturing is going to move into. So is there anyone who would like to ask a question about an agenda item? Doreen?
I have a question about agenda item number 8, the calling the letter of credit for Grand Meadows. I see it's withdrawn, but is that because they've paid? I mean, I know they had a $224,000 bond, performance bond, so what's the?
We received notice from the bank that the letter of credit was going to be called, but we then, today, received a letter from the bank, probably not that it was being called, that it wasn't going to be renewed, and we got a letter today from a senior vice president at the bank saying that notice had gone out inadvertently. So the letter of credit remains in place. The town is fully secured.
Okay, thank you, because I know there were issues with that back in 2011 when the bond was lowered, so. Okay, and then agenda item number 2, that's tabled, but can I still talk about that?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So I was trying to follow what was going on last week when this was before the board, and I have some concerns because the way I understand it is right now, all home businesses come before the ZBA, and this was broken down into 2 sections where they would be handled by the zoning administrator, and then under certain conditions, it could potentially be subject to the special use permit. But then Councilman Krakauer had some concerns about the number of employees and said about taking that out. And so was that proposed to be taken out in both places, section 1 and 2?
It's work in progress, so.
Okay. All right, well, I'll just tell, okay, I'll wait for you to, on that
Why
one.
don't you, if you have an opinion, state it so
Right.
the board can hear
Yeah,
it and.
but basically, it's my opinion that all home businesses should still go before the ZBA. And one of the advantages of that is that neighbors are notified, and then if you have any concerns about it, then you have a chance to come there, air your concerns, and that at least the ZBA will be aware of them and then potentially address them. So that's one thing. The other is the issue of parking, and which to me is a big issue. And again, that's something that would normally be handled by the ZBA. And I see in here that, it would be handled by the zoning administrator. Well, right now, we have a good zoning administrator. What if you have somebody, what if Sarah decided to leave tomorrow and you had somebody else in position who turns out to not be doing as good a job? I don't think we should be depending on one person like that. I'd rather see, again, come before the ZBA, you have a chance to air your concerns, you're notified that somebody in your neighborhood wants to do that, and
One of the things that I wanted to look at is there's some places where it makes complete sense and it fits perfectly. There's other places where it doesn't, and I think what Neil had proposed as far as some basic home businesses where you wouldn't have to come in, there's some home businesses that you wouldn't even know they're there unless someone tells you. If someone's running some sort of an internet business or something at home, doing websites, they may not have any customers actually even coming to their doorstep other than maybe once in a blue moon. So there's some home businesses that you probably should be able to do without having a major process. If it becomes more involved where there's a lot of traffic, I think what I want to look at, I mean, Jay and I
But
had
you
both
wouldn't know
talked
that
about
till after the fact, though, right? How much,
Well, in the front end, when they come into the zoning board, you have to explain to the zoning board what you're doing and your projections.
Right.
So, yeah, things can always change and that, but I think, again, if you take the chiropractor's office on Spack and Kill and the dentist's office on Spack and
right,
Kill.
but Spack and Kill Road's not really a residential
No,
neighborhood.
No, but what I'm saying is those are busy roads and they have off-street parking. So
Right.
you look at that and to make them jump through 1,000 hoops because they're doing a home-based business. And I'm not sure if they both, I know the dentist I think lives there. I'm not sure if the chiropractor does. But in those situations, it would make sense to not make the process a tremendous burden. If you're in the middle of a residential neighborhood, you have no off-street parking other than, your garage and one spot on the driveway, those are probably areas where you gotta be a little bit more careful about having too much traffic, so that might be something where you kick it over to the ZBA. So
I like this because, like, in your scenario, all they have to do is get a special use permit. If they have, let's say those dentists or the chiropractor, they've got to come before the ZBA, get their special use permit, and that does give if there are neighbors that are concerned, it gives them an opportunity to weigh in, state their opinion. If nobody cares, great.
My only concern is if we're gonna rewrite this, I just wanna make sure we do it the right way on the front end, so it makes sense, it's kind of even-handed, and you have a situation where the ones that don't impact the neighborhood should have a fairly straightforward process to deal with. The ones that would be, a heavy impact and way more than what a neighborhood should have don't end up happening. So I just want to make sure if we're rewriting it, we just get it right the first time, and that we don't put limitations that may, and again, if you have a doctor's or a dentist's office, they usually have a nurse or a hygienist plus a receptionist or a secretary. So the way it's written, you can kind of put a situation where you're not going to be able to do that, at least in the first category. The second category, you can barely do that. So again, I think there's situations where the home-based business makes complete sense. You wouldn't even know they're there, and you don't want to make it too restrictive.
If they have more than 2 non-resident employees, they just have to get a special use permit. That's the way this is written.
I just think it's something we have to look over as a whole, because you said the internet's another thing that's done, and I know I brought up Spack and Kill many times. Spack and Kill isn't part of a neighborhood. You wouldn't want that same office quarter mile down the street. I mean, he happens to have a good spot, a good location. There's certain neighborhoods where people have driveways you're not gonna see the business from. I mean, everyone's almost on a case-to-case basis, because
I think
you got the home hairdresser, it's got one car, one person is one thing. But then if you got somebody who's got a doctor's office or even internet business where it turns into 8 employees, I mean, it becomes a mess.
it is very important, so I just.
And we've had people who do, a bakery business out of their house, and that can become something that's way more than what should be in a neighborhood. I've seen in Wappinger, there was somebody that had a pet store out of their house, and, to me, that becomes a little bit crazy as far as doing that. So there are things that can be a problem. I just want to make sure when we write, I'd like to do it once, get it right, make it so that it's fair and reasonable, people can do what they need to do without hurting their neighbors, and then we move on.
Well, and then just the last thing I would say, and I know last week 2 weeks ago, you also said about, if somebody doesn't like the neighbor, then they could use this to turn them in. I mean, you could use the entire town code to turn in some in your neighborhood, so this isn't providing any more fodder to turn in your neighborhood.
Well, there was a situation where I think there was a dispute between the neighbors, and the neighbor's medical office became the issue. And I just want to make it so that if people are following fairly straightforward basic rules, it doesn't become a situation where that can be used as, we're going to call the town, get the town involved, and try to shut you down. So.
Well, I think parking is a huge issue, so.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, so.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Jim?
Good evening. I also wanted to talk about that one, the Home Occupations Code Amendment section. I listened to the discussion from the last meeting. I just have some thoughts. First of all, I think that having control and having the ZBA look at what kind of businesses are coming in, that is the control point that you need so you can make the decision whether this is a very low-impact business or whether it's something that you can't have there or something that you need to tone down to allow in if the ZBA decides to do that. If you don't have that control point, it's pretty tough to go back and then have to figure out what you have there or what you thought you were going to have there. And I think it then becomes the onus of the neighbors potentially to now put them in a bad situation where they have to now come forward, try to appeal this thing, maybe turn people in, if you will. So basically, I'm opposed to taking this thing away from the zoning board and just, carte blanche, letting some businesses, happen at home. And what we might sit here in this room and think of as a low-volume business, if it's next door to your house, okay, and you're used to, a certain amount of family traffic and street traffic, and now all of a sudden they're bringing in extra traffic. And, I also thought about my neighborhood, about the potential people in the neighborhood that could, open up a business at home because of the type of work they do and the technology that's available today, that they could potentially move those businesses at home. And it's, it isn't just one, it's several that could do that. And now you've got all these businesses going. So there's a potential there for this thing to explode beyond what you might think, without that control. So a couple other thoughts. Some neighborhoods in the town are small and tight. It's not these, some neighborhoods that I've been in, recently built, not necessarily in the town, they've got these, big houses, McMansions, 2 acres of land, driveways that go in, you can't even see where they terminate. There you might not notice it, but there's a lot of neighborhoods here in the town, and I'm thinking in the Arlington area, Spackenkill area, Red Oaks Mill area, that are, when you drive through those streets, they're small and they're tight and the houses are close together and there's a lot of cars parked in the streets now. And if you start opening this thing up to businesses, you're going to have more of a problem there. The other place that I've been looking at recently, since this discussion came up, we're talking about doctors and dentists, where the podiatrist is in Arlington on Fairmont and Davis Avenue. They have a parking lot there. But I'll tell you, every time I drive past there and I look down Davis Avenue, that road is packed with cars. Mm-hmm. I can't say whose cars they are, but especially during the wintertime when cars have to be off the road at night, I'm not really looking down there in the dark, but during the day when I go by, that road is full with cars. And I wonder, is it spillover from the podiatrist parking lot?
That's a commercial property, right? I mean, that's a commercial property, isn't it?
I don't know, I think
so.
But also a lot of those cars are employees from Raymond Avenue because you only have 2-hour parking on Raymond.
Okay, so
a lot of its employees have to park further and further away from where they work.
You're talking about the one on the corner?
Yeah, that's a commercial.
Fairmont and Davis there.
Yeah.
I know I have had neighbors complain about whether it's employees or customers blocking their driveway.
Yeah, my point is though, is it one?
Doctor's overbooked, so it can happen.
Once you start doing this, even if you have a parking lot, you could potentially
they've got a big parking lot there too.
Still have this
blows over.
Right. And
could it be just? Let me ask a question. I think the desire on shortening the process is to facilitate it for people that have zero to no impact. But I agree with letting the neighbors know and allowing for a review process. So could it be a compromise to say this? If you want to run a home business, you have to follow the notification, send the letters to your neighbors, do an application with the zoning official. In the letters say, your feedback on this is wanted by the zoning board or the zoning official. And then if there's any controversy, kick it over to the zoning board. If there's no controversy, simple, low-key thing, and there's no negative response from anybody who lives near it, couldn't we do it that way? And only then, if there's a question on the part of a neighbor or on the part of the zoning official for the town, then kick it over to the zoning board. It would reduce it. Now, I have a home-based business. I applied in 1996. I had to go before the zoning board, and I had to notify my neighbors and all of that, and that was fine. It didn't bother me at all. But in this day and age, we're trying to do more with less. So rather than put another item on the agenda of the zoning board, if we could do it administratively, but still issue the protections. So require the applicant to complete the application, notify his neighbors as they would do for the zoning board, and then if the zoning official feels that this is a really low-impact business and there's nothing from those people, then issue a permit. If anything is not right, send it over to the zoning board of appeals, because that's a process under oath and everything else. So I think there's maybe a way to compromise here to accomplish the goal that I hear you saying and still do more with less.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that, the reality of the situation is that the first criteria for where you don't have to go through the ZBA, most of these never go in front of any town board, building department, anything. People just do it because if I'm building websites for clients and my business is through the internet, and very rarely do I have some customer come to my home-based office, you would have no idea that I'm doing it. The town would have no idea that I'm doing it. And my guess is, like when people finish their basement or their attic in the bedrooms and they never get a building permit, my guess is a lot of people are doing this without any approval anywhere. So the first criteria is fairly limited and probably items that we'd have no idea unless they came and told us, or the neighbor called and said, this guy's he's building websites out of his house. I checked, he doesn't have an office anywhere, and I know that he works out of his house, and that's where he drives.
Right, they're low impacts.
Right,
There's
and that's why I say the first criteria.
That's good.
The first group are really things that you probably would have no idea unless someone specifically told you that that's what they do and where they do it from.
Mm-hmm.
The second group of items are where it's, doctor's office, lawyer's office, dentist's office, and those are where there can be more of an impact. And again, my only question was, if we're going to rewrite this, I just want to make sure that we get it right, that whatever we allow in the first group of criteria isn't going to be something that we say, geez, that slipped through and we should have never allowed that, so that we don't have any uses in there that we would feel that after the fact it was a really bad idea. And that we also don't make it so restrictive that basically nobody could do anything in their home without getting the blessing of the town, even when it's something that nobody has any idea they're doing anyway. And then as far as the number of employees and everything else, everybody seems to keep saying, and Jay had mentioned it last time, was the number doesn't bother. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the number doesn't bother them, it's the parking issue.
Yeah.
So my thought was, with trying to tweak this a little bit, was to address the parking issue as far as the number of people you can have at one time and employees. Because if you have ample off-street parking, you should be able to do some sort of a business that has a little bit more volume. If you have no off-street parking at all, yeah, I think that's a bad idea. I think it changes the character of the neighborhood. It impacts the neighbor significantly. If you're doing some sort of a mail order business or internet business where you're going to have 1,000 deliveries every day and trucks coming and going constantly, yeah, I think that's something that you need to buy commercial space and do it that way. But again, my only concern was, if we're going to write this, we don't want to all of a sudden scoop in a whole bunch of people that we didn't intend to scoop in. And we want to make it somewhat fair and reasonable, and that most people can look at it, understand, yes, I can do this, no, I can't, or I have to go through the ZBA to do it. So that was just my concern.
Well, I would just say, and I agree, so I would just encourage each board member to look at this. I do think it's very important, because as Stefan said, once it's on the books, it's on the books.
Yep.
So, consider your own neighborhood. Most of us live in very residential areas. Consider what you might want to see next door or not want to see. This doesn't really exclude anything, it just, I think, puts a higher level of scrutiny on the businesses that are more active, and we'll see if we can get it back on the agenda in April.
One more thing I'd like to say, in response to Councilman Carlos and Councilman Krakauer. If the scenario that Councilman Carlos outlined, if the zoning office is going to enforce the fact that people need to notify neighbors and things like that, I'm not saying that's good or bad. That might be okay, but my thought is some people tend not to do the right thing anyway, and Councilman Krakauer touched on that. You have people doing building, and they don't have building permits. It's happened next door to me. Sometimes if somebody's doing a low-impact project, they're building a deck on the back of their house, it's not a big deal. You really don't care. But if something's, really like squirrely is going on, and if it's not being done right, and it's a big impact. And the benefit of having the building codes and building permits, and why I say you still need the ZBA, is you have something to fall back on. Because now, me as a neighbor, if I have to call up and say, hey, this is going on next door, and the building inspectors go in there and they go, oh, you don't even have a building permit, now we got to, basically make you comply, all right? If you throw out the ZBA in this scenario, or the ZBA is not in complete control of notifying the neighbors, I really don't have a lot of faith in people to take that upon themselves and do it. They're just gonna.
Here's where I think you might. If you're gonna start a business out of your home, and that's where you're gonna earn your livelihood, you probably want some sort of some sort of ability to make sure that your neighbor can't call the town, shut you down completely. You won't be able to earn a living. I think right now, one of the things when you tell people you really should get a building permit if you're going to do that, their first thing is, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get involved with the town. It'll make it more complicated and more expensive, and my taxes will go up. So I think if there's a process laid out in the code that's straightforward, sensible, reasonable, and you can go in and say, I'm going to have a home-based business. I'm going to be building websites for clients. I'm going to have maybe one client every other month at my house. I can go into the town, let them know what I'm doing, and get the okay through the zoning department that I can do this. If I expand it, I got to come back to the ZBA. So I think you may end up getting a little bit more compliance, because I've actually had people talk to me, not about the town of Poughkeepsie, but outside of the town of Poughkeepsie, where they want to do an auto repair shop at home. And the concern was, can we do it? And when you look at the code, if they don't allow it, what ends up happening is they do it, but they never get any permissions to do it. And that, to me, that's a problem. If you have some of these straightforward, very, very low impact types of home-based businesses, you might get more compliance, not less, if you have a simplified process. Because again, I think what happens is people are doing it anyway, and we don't know about it. At least if there's a way to do it. And again, if I'm opening up a business, I'm going to rely on that to pay my bills. I probably want to have some sort of peace of mind knowing that I've gotten all the proper approvals, that I don't have to worry about the neighbor or somebody passing by calling the town saying, I think that guy's running a business out of his house. He never leaves his house and he's able to pay his bills, so something's going on. So, the intention isn't to create a loophole to let people do whatever they want, whenever they want, and change your whole neighborhood. The intention is to try to leave certain people alone because they're not bothering anybody, and the rest of them funnel through the process, and restrict out the ones that are just not acceptable. Because there's a whole bunch of businesses that people try to do that are just not acceptable. Mm-hmm. But the auto repair tends to be the one that I've gotten complaints about that in my neighborhood before, and you get cars lined up, you get junk, like pieces of cars sitting on the side of the lawn, and it gets to the point where it becomes a real nuisance in the neighborhood. So there are things that I think we should restrict it out completely. That's why I say I want to look at the list of what we restrict out completely and maybe add to it. I want to look at the list of things that we leave alone, maybe add to that or subtract from it. Somewhere in the process, I think there's really a good change to this that we can make, but I just still think it needs a little work.
Well, if everyone would, sorry, Jim.
I would just say that as you're doing this, make sure that you leave controls in place that you can fall back on, and don't shift the burden to the neighbors. I don't like to call the town on the stuff that's going on in my neighborhood, and I'll tell you that I usually have these codes basically give neighbors a threshold where they can kind of gauge whether they should call, need to call, or whatever. I mean, if you allow a business and you say that it can have, so much or whatever, and, well, speaking for myself, before I call up, I usually allow a certain amount of, there's a situation right now in my neighborhood. A guy's got 2 refrigerators out in his driveway. They've been out there for 6 to 8 weeks, okay? Now, I looked at the town code. You're not supposed to have appliances out in your driveway. Okay, now we got 2.5 feet of snow came. They were buried in snow, or half buried. And I thought, all right, let me give this guy a little time. Let's, wait for the snow to recede. We wouldn't change the code to say, well, now, if people are leaving appliances out there. Let's just, throw the code out and let them leave refrigerators and stoves and whatever else they want out there. And me as a neighbor, do I really want to have to be calling up to town and turning this guy in? No, but I'll tell you, after the snow is gone, if it goes a couple of months, I'm going to be.
I think you just turned him in.
Yeah, we got that on tape.
I think you might have just turned him in.
Fine. Save me a phone call.
Already done.
Take a ride around Colburn Drive and look for a couple of refrigerators. All right, thank you.
Jim, thank you.
Jim.
Anybody else? Okay. Next, I would like to we have a representative here from the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And we're going to designate May as Mental Health Awareness Month. But, I know they have some plans, some things they'd like to do in the town to help bring awareness to this issue. So why don't I turn the meeting over?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Tina Lee, and this is Alexis Hill. I sit on the board of the National Alliance on Mental Illness Mid-Hudson chapter. NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. NAMI is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization dedicated to building better lives for the 1 in 4 Americans and 1 in 5 children affected by mental illness. Since 1949, May has been dedicated to Mental Health Awareness Month. Last year in May, NAMI Westchester, in partnership with Stamford Greenwich, Connecticut, launched their first mental health awareness ribbon campaign. Ribbons were tied on the trees along the main streets in 30 municipalities in Westchester County and in Greenwich, Connecticut, and its surrounding neighborhoods. This year, NAMI Westchester will have nearly 60 municipalities participating. Here are some photos from last year's campaign in NAMI Westchester. The Ribbon Awareness Campaign is an anti-stigma awareness campaign. It is part of NAMI's community outreach and education efforts aimed at dispelling the stigma of mental illness and promoting awareness in a direct and visible manner. Many people suffering from mental illness do not seek help because they are afraid of the stigma attached to mental illness. The ribbons are eco-safe, produced by Barrick Offray, made in the USA, and will not damage any of the trees. And here's the physical ribbon. Basically, it says our logo, our website, and our slogan, Find Help, Find Hope. The signs are standard coroplast signs produced by a local vendor, Fast Signs. There's no cost to the town of Poughkeepsie, and we will supply all ribbons and signage. We respectfully ask the town of Poughkeepsie to participate in our awareness campaign. Lori Wadowitz and I spoke to Town Supervisor Todd Tancaretti last week, and he made some suggestions on where he thought the ribbons and signs would have the most visibility. So Main Street intersection of Raymond Avenue near the War Memorial, Route 55 near the traffic stoplight on Barrett Boulevard, Burnett Boulevard near the traffic stoplight on Route 44 near the Arlington Firehouse, and Wilbur Boulevard walking path. We would also like the town of Poughkeepsie to proclaim May as Mental Health Awareness Month. These are the approved municipalities so far that we have. Village of Fishkill, Village of LaGrange, Village of Millbrook, Village of New Paltz, Town of Woodstock, and City of Beacon. On agenda for next week is Village of Dover, and several mental health agencies are also participating. Local high schools and their senior students will be coming out to tie ribbons as well to have community service hours complied. So it looks like it's reaching, a pretty far region. To our knowledge, no other mental health organization has done an awareness campaign. We would like for the town of Poughkeepsie to join us in our efforts to changing attitudes and changing lives. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Tina. Does anybody have any questions for Tina? We have a resolution here that will.
Do you have ribbons and signs for people to put up in other locations? Where would someone go to get those?
They could contact us. Our ribbon campaign is on our website, www.namimidhudson.org. Okay. So for sure, if any, I noticed, a lot of other mental health agencies have reached out to us too. And, we did a fundraiser. We're all volunteer in this organization, and we did a fundraiser last year to cover the costs. So, we're hoping, again, the county seems like they're interested as well. A lot of the mental health agencies will be participating.
And you had said, when you came to SEMA, you were hoping to get a local high school involved to maybe
Yes.
monitor the ribbons if they start to get,
Exactly.
pulled off the trees or whatever, to straighten them up and with,
Yes.
as long as the lawn signs. I thought that was a good idea.
Yes, actually, Spackenkill High School will be overseeing the town of Poughkeepsie. I know a lot of the Honor Society, there's a special ed organization too, are willing to participate.
It's great.
And these will be up for the whole month?
Yes, we would like to put them May 1st. I know a lot of the seniors will come out May 1st, and they will be taken down no later than June 1st. And we'll make sure we maintain them too.
Oh, and thank you for including us in this too. We'd be honored to participate in this.
That's wonderful. Actually, the Village of New Paltz, Mayor West himself suffers from bipolar, and he felt comfortable enough with our organization to try to have a community event. So, again, we'll be, if you want, we are preparing lapel ribbons too, if you could wear those, because it's an important issue in our country right now. I've been doing this just for a few months because, my daughter is a consumer, and, we did not at that time have the chance to find any help and resources. And, we just went up actually yesterday to Albany to speak to legislation about the importance of mental health. Because, we're noticing that, a lot of the times when mental health issues come up, it's always attached to gun control. And, just as anything else, when we speak about diabetes, we don't attach gun control to that, or breast cancer. It's a brain disorder. And, it's not a character flaw. And nobody is immune to that. So, we hope to get the message out that if you need help and hope, help and resources, NAMI is just one of the many in Dutchess County. So
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great what you're doing. We're going to read a resolution, and then if you just stay the 1 minute, we'll.
Sure.
Yeah, could you make sure, if you have any information, Todd could put on the website or on the
Yes,
TV
absolutely.
channel, so.
Absolutely.
Something to put on the channel so we can go through, so.
Perfect.
We can look at it.
Yeah, if you can supply even a photo, we could maybe put that up for the month of May.
Oh, yeah,
Just
perfect.
reminding people,
Yes,
again, what it is
absolutely.
on our community channel.
Perfect. Thank you.
Bill?
Okay. Whereas mental health is an essential to the well-being and vitality of our families, businesses, and communities, and whereas mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nation, with 1 out of 4 Americans and 1 out of 5 children affected by mental illness, and whereas more people die from suicide in the United States than from traffic accidents, and an estimated 22 veterans die from suicide each day, and whereas stigma and fear of discrimination keep many who would benefit from mental health services from seeking help, and whereas education, compassion, and awareness about mental illness can change negative attitudes and behaviors towards people with mental illness, and whereas each business, school, government agency, law enforcement agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizens share the responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie, on behalf of the Town of Poughkeepsie, does hereby proclaim the month of May 2014 as Mental Health Awareness Month, and further be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie calls upon all Town of Poughkeepsie residents, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools to recommit our community to increasing awareness of and understanding of mental health illness, reducing stigma and discrimination, and promoting appropriate and accessible services for all individuals. So moved.
Second again.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. And Tina, I have a proclamation signed by myself on behalf of the town board
Awesome.
proclaiming May 2014 as Mental Health Awareness Month.
Thank you so
Okay?
much.
Thank
so
you.
much. Okay.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
Hey, Joe.
Whereas Parkinson's disease is a progressive neurological movement disorder of the central nervous system, which has a unique impact in each patient, and whereas according to the Parkinson's Action Network, the Parkinson's Disease Foundation, the American Parkinson's Disease Association, and the National Institutes of Health, there are over 1 million Americans diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and where symptoms include slowness, tremor, difficulty with balance and speaking, rigidity, cognitive and memory problems, And whereas although new medicines and therapies may enhance life for some time for people with Parkinson's, more work is needed for a cure. And whereas increased education and research are needed to help find more effective treatments with fewer side effects and ultimately a cure for Parkinson's disease. And whereas a multidisciplinary approach to Parkinson's disease care includes local wellness, support, and caregiver groups. And whereas April has been proclaimed as Worldwide Parkinson's Awareness Month, for all to recognize the need for much more research and help in dealing with the devastating effects of Parkinson's disease. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie proudly proclaims the month of April 2014 as Parkinson's Awareness Month and encourages all municipal offices and citizens and visitors to participate in the scheduled activities to learn more about Parkinson's disease. So moved.
Motion and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to sign a maintenance agreement between the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department and Business Electronics, Inc. for the Nice Call Focus 3 24-channel voice recorder, hard drive, and related equipment, which digitally records the police radio and telephone communication systems for the period from April 15, 2014 through April 14, 2015, at an annual fee of $1,260. So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with Custom Monitoring for security monitoring of the Police Department Impound Yard for 2 years at an annual cost of $222, commencing on May 1st, 2014, with the termination date of April 30th, 2016. So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Whereas the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie has heretofore received an application from Rinaldi Flea Market to hold a flea market from April 2014 through October 2014 to be held at 900 Dutchess Turnpike, Poughkeepsie, New York, owned by Quattrout Realty Services, and be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the application as submitted contingent upon the town first receiving the applicable fees and a certificate of liability insurance naming the town as additional insured. So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion?
This application says on Sundays only, is that, so it's only going to be on Sundays, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He started this, if you guys recall, when I first came on here, there was a cloud over it of worry of issues, and it's really turned out quite nice. I know it becomes a destination for a lot of people, and I want to thank Bill Rinaldi for doing such a fine job with it.
And we did receive the insurance and the money, so we're all set.
Good.
Good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 8's been moved.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby authorized the Park Facilities and Program Director to issue a permit to the Hudson Valley Senior Softball League for utilization of town ball fields at a price of $325 per field for the season. Pursuant to the attached request, contingent upon receipt by the town of a certificate of liability insurance in a form acceptable to the town, naming the town as additional insured. So moved.
Second.
For a motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
This is just a notice from the town of LaGrange, right?
Yep.
Those are claims, 10. Yep.
And then, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby grant special consent to the following items, to wit, Special Consent 1, authorize supervisor to sign Hess Energy Marketing contract. Special Consent 2, authorize town clerk to attend the annual conference. Special Consent 3, authorize conveyance to DCI DA-130 Salt Point Turnpike. And be it further resolved that upon the objection of any member of the board, an item may be removed from the list and voted on separately. So moved.
Second.
For a motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie contracts for electrical service for town facilities through June 2014 with Hess Energy Marketing LLCS, which represents the Municipal Electrical and Gas Alliance, MEGA, and whereas a 25% portion of the town's electrical services are received at a variable price, and whereas a generalized increase in the demand for electricity, the unanticipated increase in the need for power due to a severe winter, and the imposition of a new electrical surcharge has significantly increased the town's electrical charges, And whereas Hess agreed to allow the town to replace its fixed with variable rate contract with a 1-year fixed rate contract at 9.03 cents per kilowatt hour, which modification was authorized by the town board by resolution 3522 of 2014. And whereas Hess Energy has now agreed to allow the town to replace its current fixed and variable rate contract with a fixed rate contract for a period of 2 months from the meter reading at a fixed rate of 8.43 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby rescind resolution 3522 of 2014, and be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor or his designee to execute a replacement contract with Hess Mega for it to continue providing electricity to town facilities for a period of 2 months from the next meter reading on a fixed price basis at 8.43 cents per kilowatt hour, with the execution of which contract is a matter of ongoing town administration, which does not require action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. So moved.
A motion and a second, any discussion?
Yeah, after this 2 months is up, does the contract with them then expire, or will we be looking for a new?
Yes.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Two.
Be it resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize town clerk Felicia Salvatore to attend the New York State Town Clerks Association Annual Conference from April 27, 2014 through April 30th, 2014 in Saratoga Springs, New York, funding for which is included in the town clerk's budget, and be it further resolved that the town clerk Felicia Salvatore is hereby authorized to utilize a town vehicle for travel to, at, and from said conference, and subject to budget limits and applicable town policies to apply for reimbursement for her fuel, food, and tolls for the conference. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. You're gonna take a town vehicle, right?
Yeah.
So, where is this?
Saratoga.
Far, it's only,
Saratoga.
I don't know.
So Saratoga Springs,
So you'll
right?
have an easy pass.
I've been there before, yeah,
You'll have the town easy pass and the town.
right. I'm
Guess.
gonna try and, if you look at the schedule of the events and stuff, Sunday night's kind of, you
Yeah.
know, they really
It's a
should
big
cut that.
wine festival up there at the same time. No.
I have an aunt that lives 20 minutes from Saratoga, so I might actually go and stay with her for one night to try and save money.
Okay.
If she's gonna be in town.
All right.
Because that would save almost $200.
We like the sounds of that.
Works.
We'll see. But I mean, if I can, I have the
Sleep
money.
in the car. You could save a ton of money. Those big.
It might snow.
Thinker.
April 27th better not be.
All right, Lisa, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0.
Whereas the Parker Hamilton Corporation and James L. Taylor Manufacturing Company have applied to Dutchess County Industrial Development Agency for financial assistance for a new project to be located at 130 Salt Point Turnpike in the town of Poughkeepsie, New York. And whereas financial assistance includes a request for a payment in lieu of taxes pilot agreement, which will provide that the 2014 town taxes of $12,912.60 and the 2014-2015 school taxes of $32,582.84 on the property will not be increased over those amounts for a period of 10 years following the grant of the financial assistance. And whereas the uniform tax exemption policy of Dutchess County Industrial Development Agency does not contemplate granting financial assistance of this sort without the consent of the affected town, school district, and the county. And whereas the town of Poughkeepsie supports the request of Parker Hamilton Corporation and James L. Taylor Manufacturing Company for the aforementioned financial assistance and tax relief, now therefore be resolved that the supervisor of the town of Poughkeepsie and his designee be and hereby is authorized, empowered, and directed to document and convey to the Dutchess County Industrial Development Agency the town of Poughkeepsie support for the application of Parker Hamilton Corporation and James L. Taylor Manufacturing Company for the request of financial assistance, including a payment in lieu of taxes pilot agreement, which will require that for 10 years from the date of closing of the title, the town taxes will not increase beyond the current 2014 amount of $12,912.60. So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Jim, the only question I had, this came in late, so I know we didn't get a chance to discuss it, but we don't have any control over the school taxes. That's going to be up to the school board.
Yeah, separate presentation will be made
Yeah, and which school district is this
Hyde
in?
Park.
Hyde Park.
Hyde Park.
So I'm just wondering, we state in here that the town taxes and the school taxes and probably will not be increased over those amounts for a 10-year period. I think, I'm worried the school board may see this and think it's a little presumptuous on our part to, did you see what I mean? In the second paragraph?
Yeah, Don Capolino,
Yeah.
Mr. Tancredi and I were on a call this afternoon, and Don Capolino, who represents the IDA, explained that this program is available, or this type of program, only if the county, as well as the school district, as well as the municipality, all agree that it's okay and to the freeze. So there'll be a separate agreement to freeze by the county, there'll be a separate agreement by the school district, and they're not looking to you to tell the school district what they have to do. They'll do it separately in front of that board.
So should we, I'm just worried that, maybe I'm being a little paranoid, but I don't want the school district to think we're
Paying the difference?
opposing their freeze. Do you see it in the resolution? The second paragraph? The 32, we basically say the school taxes aren't gonna go up above $32,580. And we can say it, I guess, but
Well, you could delete that reference.
I'd like-
and just have it provide the
Would be safer.
2014 town taxes.
that's what I'd like to do.
Up at will not be increased over that amount.
Yeah, I'd like to make an amendment just to exclude that where it says the school tax and exactly what Jim said.
Or you
Town,
can say subject to the school district's approval.
either way. Well, let's put that, subject to, I like that even better.
Yeah, 'cause that
Subject
way
to
we
the
can
school
leave the number
district's-
in there so people
Subject to
hear.
school district's approval.
I'll second that.
All right, all
School
those
district and the
amendment?
county?
Pardon?
School district and the county?
Well, the school district, we mentioned the school district, so I want,
All right.
so all those in favor of that amendment?
Aye.
And everyone in favor of the amended resolution?
Aye.
What does James Taylor manufacture, guitars, or what is it, anything exciting?
No.
No? Just wondered.
That brings us to the end of our agenda. They manufacture machinery that makes cabinet,
Where are they now located?
down
That's
by
right.
the jail in the city. What street is that, Jim? Parker Avenue.
Entrance to walkway.
Hamilton.
Is it Parker?
The Parker.
Hamilton, it's Hamilton, isn't it?
Gotcha.
That's where the jail is, but I think it's the piece of
The
property
entrance
behind it.
Left,
On Parker.
Near where they bought?
the
in that
jail,
area.
Yeah.
Factory.
We don't know where it is.
Hamilton, Parker,
Parker and Hamilton.
Poughkeepsie.
or by Hamilton or Parker.
And that brings us to the end of our agenda. I'd like to make a motion to take comments on town issues.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody would like to address the board? Yes, come on up.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Tina Cottrell and I live on Nild Court. I'm here tonight to talk with the board about the recommendations in the Wappinger Central School District Advisory Facilities Committee's report that was just released on March 10th. I'm wondering if anyone is familiar with what's going on?
No,
Okay,
not really.
no? I can try to.
Yeah, the closing of school,
Is that it?
Yeah, there's a lot of recommendations that came out of this report. However, this report is outrageously flawed. The school district approved the creation of the committee back in November 2013. And like I said, the recommendations came out on March 10th. One of the recommendations was to close Vassar Road Elementary School by close, I mean, what they really mean is to displace 300 elementary school students and not necessarily close the building. So into that vacated building, they're now proposing to move their district offices, which include 75 district office employees, as well as 70 students that attend approximately 70 students that attend Orchard View Alternative High School. They would then convert Kinry Road Elementary School to a K through 6 school. As most of you probably know right now, it's a grade level school. The overflow would then go to Myers Corners. The reasoning that they're stating for the closure of this school is declining enrollment. Like I said, this report has serious issues in it. One of the things that they did cite was that there is a decline in live births. However, I think we all know that we are in a time of economic distress, and quite often people are not having babies when the economy is down. Additionally, in this report, they did not note the number of foreclosures or empty houses that are within the school zone. I'm here tonight to ask for help because I'm trying to, this is not information that was supplied, and I'm trying to get a better handle on what the real situation is, because right now, it appears to me that they're just trying to put a Band-Aid on their situation, because currently they're paying a significant amount of money for rental for their district office space as well as Orchard View. I'm concerned about the property values. I can tell you myself and many of the moms that I am working with that I purchased my home specifically because of the Vassar-Kinry school community. You know, the district often doesn't think of Vassar-Kinry as one school, but the parents do. I'm concerned about how they're going to pack Kinry to fit all these kids. So, for example, I have the report with me if anyone would like to look at it, but the way that they're presenting their numbers is they're saying that the kids from Vassar will go to Kinry and the overflow will go to Myers. So the way that they have presented the numbers, currently there is only one open classroom in Myers. So what you're going to end up having at Kinry is a packed school. They can have more than 28 kids in a classroom. It's just at that point they're mandated an aide. So I live near that manatee circle, and in the morning when I'm driving out, I'm not sure if anyone is familiar how fast parents are driving through that circle to get to Kinry on time. That's a residential neighborhood. There are buses that are flying through there, and to me, you are increasing the chance of a serious accident in that area. Additionally, like I said, Vassar-Kinry is a school community, and once you are going to put high school students, regardless of whether or not it's an alternative high school or not, but any high school students within walking distance, because there's a little path that runs between those schools, to me, that is not a good decision. I'm sure that we're all aware that, or maybe we're not, but that in John Jay High School and Ketchum and just throughout the entire Dutchess County, there is a huge rise in drug usage right now, and heroin in our high schools is a major issue. So I don't want anyone to be confused, because I'm not here to vilify the Orchard View Alternative High School students. I am just saying that any high school, I don't know if it's really a good idea that you really want high school students in the backyard of so close to elementary school kids. And this is probably not as applicable, but I would just actually add that generally speaking, the report that came out is not in favor of the north side. And if I could speak a little bit about that.
Ma'am, generally speaking, you have 3 minutes, so if you could kind of
wrap it up.
And I can appreciate your passion for this issue and understand how, and can see how passionate you are, but just so you know, this is in no way a town board issue. It's a school board issue. Those folks are elected by the same people in
Right.
some cases, but not same people we're elected by. It's really that board's decision and issue, and we haven't. That's why we're not familiar with it really at all.
And if I could throw my 2 cents in, I definitely hear your concerns, and it's happening in all the districts throughout the town and the county. And I do find it troubling in that I'm not sure how long Wappinger has been a grade level school, but Spack & Co. went to grade level schools a year or so ago, and now they're talking about the same type of thing. They're doing a building study, looking at potentially closing a school, and then the virtues of grade level school were sold to the community as we had to do this. It was the best way to deal with it, and now they're looking at going back to everybody K through 6 in one school or K through 5, and sometimes you wonder whether they're doing any planning beyond the current day in some of these districts. So we as a board can't impact the school and their decisions any more than you can. I know in my own school district, I've been attending the school board meetings now and the PTA meetings and getting more involved. I got two young kids, so I'm kind of got a vested interest in it. But it does concern me, and I understand where you're coming from. But again, we hear about the fire department, we hear about the schools, and the county and everyone else. We control town government, and we try to do the best we can. And we're always willing to listen to what you have to say and give feedback. But with a school district, they do what they do. And unfortunately, I think, a lot of times the parents are there's very good involved parents in these districts, and a lot of times they're right. The district does things regardless. And the enrollment's down today. The enrollment will be back up in a couple of years, and then they'll be turning around trying to figure out what to do. And I do think that my concern is some of these decisions are short-sighted. But we can only get involved the way you're getting involved and try to show up to these meetings and voice our concerns as well. But as a town board and town government, we can't directly impact what's happening.
I am wondering if you could speak to, however, the potential impact on property values. I understand, I was not here, but I understand that Kinry Road also closed and then reopened, and it cost the taxpayers about $3 million.
Well, with the property values, at least Wappingers is looking at filling the building with their administrative offices. Arlington is looking at closing, or going to close Arthur S. May, and they're not filling that with their own use.
They're going to sell the property,
Right.
indicated.
Spack and Kill is looking at a potential building closure, and one of the problems is if they don't sell it, it becomes a blight, and it becomes obsolete almost instantly when the school moves out. So these are potential problems for town government because we'll have to deal with that, but we can't dictate.
The bottom line is we don't have any decision-making ability when it comes to school districts. We're willing to listen and, as Stefan said, sympathize with you and understand your concerns, but
Sounds like you got some valid points.
Well, no, I am also truly concerned because that is my neighborhood, and I can tell you that there is going to be a lot of additional traffic into that neighborhood. And right now, that situation is dangerous. I mean, my girlfriend lives right on the circle, and every single morning she sees people flying through. And, there's always solar glare, there's ice. It's dangerous, and it's going to get worse. So,
have you met with the school board members personally?
Yes.
I mean, that would be your.
All the families, I would tell you,
Best
strengthen
start.
numbers, go there, with all the families you can get.
We are
They
very
have big
vocal
meetings.
in the school community. Believe me.
They did close Kinry for a while.
They did close Kinry.
2-3 years?
I
And then they
believe
had
it
to
was from
reopen it?
1991 to 1994, and the cost to put the school back was about $3 million. So, unfortunately, like I said, that the report that they have released is just ridiculous because on the south side right now, they actually have trailers on their property to house to compensate for the overcrowding.
And from the town side, I know the supervisor's office is fully aware of these things and tries to communicate with the school districts on what's going on and to keep the town in the loop in the process. Because we do want to be proactive if they do close a building and, put it up for sale or walk away from it and shutter it. Because we don't want that blight on the community and the negative impact on the properties, whether, not just the property values, but the properties in the neighborhood. So we do the best we can, but they make the decisions. We all have to live with it.
Live with them and try to make the best, out of it.
I do understand that. But I do wonder, is there any way that the town can help determine the number of foreclosures or the empty homes currently in
We
our
have
area?
we have an idea of the number in the town. If you call tomorrow, either my office or the assessing office, and we have a general idea of the number in the town. I don't know if we can narrow it down to that school district, but it's possible.
That would be terrific. That'd be helpful. Thanks very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, good luck.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing no one, make a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Well, before we read that, I just want to say, the senior center last Friday had, their first, hopefully, annual corned beef dinner. And it was to try to put a little push on Thursdays and Fridays in the senior center to try to bring a big group in, and they ended up with, 125 people.
Beth Baisley did a fantastic job.
Wow.
No, actually, what I wanted to say is the help there, Ann, who works for our senior department, and she brought in a staff of friends to help her volunteer and do it. They did a phenomenal job. They made it easy. It went well, went just like a restaurant. I mean, she did a great job. I'd like to thank her for her years of service. She
There
did
was dancing, I heard too, right?
What?
Wasn't there dancing, I heard?
Oh, with corned beef comes beer and alcohol, so of course there's gonna be dancing
There was
there.
dancing, they had a band there, they had a supervisor come in for his, lunch, so.
They had a great crowd there,
It was a good crowd, it went very well, everybody seemed to be very happy, and I said,
Yeah.
to see the senior staff there that was there that day, and got together a group of servers and everything, she ran a tight ship and she did a very nice job, it was
Did
nice
anybody
to.
take any pictures of
Right.
that? That would be,
Yeah, they have pictures, yeah, somebody's got it.
Yeah, no, you're right, Jay. Thanks for bringing that up.
And hopefully, and any other ward wants to hold one, feel free to see Tom and they can pick their dinner or their meal and they can.
He's thinking of a
cook and work on it.
competition.
Up against that.
Here you go, Joe.
All right.
Be resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby adjourn executive session to consider the following matters to wit. 1, litigation, to discuss litigation strategy of a case known as Hildegard. 2, confidential communications between the attorney and his client, the town board, based on attorney-client privilege. 3, and be it further resolved, there will be no extra appropriating money, so moved.
Second?
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Town Board adjourns to executive session at 8:09 PM.